So, Trae, you use the term signals a lot. And a lot of similar things that I've heard use the term signs. What is the difference between a signal and a sign, and what made you pick signal?
Okay. Let's just start concretely.
Okay.
When people think of a sign, they think of something that's very concrete. Okay, they think of literally a sign, you know, or I mean, you think about people who are religious, they pray for a sign. They want to see something tangible, something that's really obvious. It's kind of like the big fat burning bush, or the bolt of lightning, or the something that's just sort of out of the ordinary. The reason that I chose the word signals is twofold. Number one, it's not always that concrete. It's not always that obvious. It's usually quite, what's the word, more subtle? Sometimes it kind of blows past you 747, like you don't see it the first time around, or even sometimes the second time around. The other reason that I use the word signals is a little more scientific, actually. If we think about a cell phone, we think about the fact that we can actually receive a signal anywhere. We can receive the signal, we can go roaming and we can receive it on the other side of the country. We can be in an elevator, even though sometimes in an elevator it doesn't quite work, but the signal is everywhere. It's a frequency. It's a frequency that cell phone picks up, that is everywhere. It permeates the ether. That's what signals are for us. They already exist. They're already out there. They permeate the ether. And just like a radio, just like radio waves, when the old radios, where you had to turn the knob, you could actually hear when you were just coming into it, and when you just went past it, and when you'd have to tweak it back. We're like a radio. We tune in, and we can tune in to certain kinds of signals, or we can tune those out and tune into other kinds of signals. So there's a subtlety there. There's an element of choice. There's an element of vibrational frequency. I choose to listen or to look for this kind of a signal versus this kind of a signal. It's like I choose, you know, R&B over alternative in terms of music on the radio. That's part, I mean, when you're tuned into R&B, the alternative station flies right past you because you're not giving attention to it. That's why I use the word signals, because it's much more accurate to the way that the information comes to us, to the way that we receive it, to the way that we choose to receive it, to the way that we give attention to it. And that's what makes it so much fun, because there's variety. If I come up with a sign, that sign speaks to me. It doesn't speak to you. And if you predetermine what you think that sign needs to look like, it's finite. It doesn't shift, it doesn't morph, it doesn't evolve.
And so if the sign doesn't look like what you expect it to,
it just goes past you. And that's where signs and signals are similar, but signals are more dynamic.
right?
There's shifts and changes in strength and in how it affects on the other side. So once again, that's part of the reason why I choose the word signals, because it isn't just something that is external to us. It's what we create. We are matter. We are energy. When the scientists first determined that that the atoms were the smallest particle, then we got more powerful microscopes, and we found out that there were, nucleus and electrons and protons. And then they got even smaller, and then we found out about all the other little particles, and they're not even particles. We think about them as particles, we think about them as matter, but everything is energy. Everything is energy. So when we start having those conversations, and I talk about it as a conversation because it's the only way that we can really wrap our heads around it. We don't really have a language or a way of wrapping our head around the fact that we are matter and we are energy at the same time. It doesn't make logical sense to us, even though science and quantum physics has proven it. It's hard for us to wrap our heads around. I talk about it as a conversation, that there are signals that come to us and there are signals we send out, and signals that come to us and send it out. It's that intangible place. And what a sign is a sign is seen as something that's tangible. Give me the burning bush, give me the bolt of lightning, give me the concrete thing that's going to tell me what to do, which is part of our fixation around results and part of our fixation around make it easy. And life isn't always like that. So that's it in a nutshell, is that signals are part of who we are. We already do it. It's already part of how we're made up, how we're wired. And that's what I talk about, is I talk about how we're wired as human beings. Everything is ground in science. Everything is ground in metaphysics. Everything is ground in quantum physics. Stuff that can be proven. And that's why I say, give it a try. Give it a try. Play with it. Everybody goes, some people go, I don't know if I have signals. I don't know if I get signals. We all get signals. We've all walked into a room and felt the presence of someone on the other side of the room, whether they're, ooh, stay away from him, he's in a bad mood. Right? Or, ooh, I'm interested in that person, or whatever. We've all felt it. We do it all the time. We just don't do it consciously. So this gives us a way to start playing with what we already do and what we already know. And that's where the journey really becomes exciting.